us at this time is Dr. Jerome Corsi. Of course, he's a senior staff writer for WND, formerly known as WorldNet Daily. I think they go just by WND now, but he's also an investigative reporter, and he's got a couple of articles that we want to talk about. One of these is about smoking gun documents out of Benghazi, related to Benghazi. And also, I want to talk to him about his article exposing that a Soros-funded organization is talking about getting a North American passport. You don't need your American passport anymore, not a United States passport, because remember what David Petraeus said. He said, what comes after America? It's North America. And so we've been seeing these oblique references out in the open lately from Petraeus, from Pelosi, from many people. And of course, this organization went public with an op-ed piece. I think they put it on, it was on CNN a couple of days ago. And so Dr. Corsi breaks down who is behind this organization called New America. But first, I want to talk to him about Judicial Watch's Freedom of Information request that got some Benghazi documents and what's behind that. Welcome, Dr. Corsi.
Good to be with you, David. Thank you very much.
Both of these articles are very interesting. I want to go to the Benghazi article first. Kind of lay it out for us what Judicial Watch got that's a smoking gun.
Well, Judicial Watch has been getting a whole series of articles and FOIA requests from the Obama administration that even Congress does not seem able to get. Now, these documents that I'm reporting on involve the Diplomatic Security Command Center, the DSCC, which is part of the State Department. It's an office in the State Department, and it's responsible for really getting communications coming in from the various embassies if there's any security problems. Now, among the documents that Judicial Watch got, there was this one document right after September 12th, right after this attack, September 11th, 2012, the State Department sent out an emergency message to the U.S. citizens about demonstrations. This came from our embassy in Tunisia. And again, they're blaming the day after the Benghazi attack on this video. Yeah. The message reads, September 11, 2012, violent demonstrations took place at the U.S. Embassy in Cairo, Egypt, and the U.S. compound in Benghazi, Libya, resulting in damage in both locations and casualties in Benghazi. And again, and they're reporting that media reports say that demonstrations may take place at the embassy in Tunis. The State Department is blaming it on the video the day after the attack. But the problem is that we have testimony now in Congress from the DSCC, and specifically, this was testimony that occurred by Charlene Lamb, who was the Deputy Assistant Secretary of State, the House Oversight Committee, in October 10th, 2012. And she says and proves that the same group within the State Department Diplomatic Security Command Center, knew the Benghazi compound was under hostile fire, a terrorist attack, from the moment the attack started, and was getting real-time reports, including video and other communications. They had a drone over the Benghazi attack while the attack was going on. And so what's clear is that the State Department, the same office, was lying to the public in Tunisia and around the world, not letting people know that this was a terrorist attack. And basically, it's irresponsible. It's a dereliction of duty is what Judicial Watch says, because it puts Americans around the world in danger when, you've got Al-Qaeda terrorists attacking the embassy or the compound. It was really not an embassy, but the compound in Benghazi. And here the State Department desk that knew about this is telling our embassies in places like Tunisia that be on the watch because there could be protests about a movie. That just doesn't reconcile.
Go ahead and get your phone. That's fine.
Hold on a second.
As I look at this, I would guess that the smoking gun is really, wouldn't you say that it's more the fact that they really knew that there was an attack going on, and not only did they lie about the origins of the attack after the fact, but the fact that they knew that it was going on and essentially stood down. Is that correct?
Well, and there's several things. That's another issue. The the specific smoking gun that I found was that you've got Hillary Clinton's State Department, which has now got, through this desk, real-time information. It's a terrorist attack.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of letting our embassies around the world know that immediately, they're lying and saying, oh, no, it's all because of a movie. So it puts Hillary Clinton at the center of the cover-up that was beginning the day after, maybe even the day of the attack. And this documentary evidence, is going to be very hard for Hillary to wiggle out of, because she's head of the State Department, and you've got the desk watching the attack going on real time, putting out bulletins to our embassies the next day in Tunisia saying, watch out for another demonstration against the movie. This was not a demonstration.
Oh, that movie was absolutely ridiculous. First of all, nobody had ever heard of it. If you ever see any clips of it on YouTube, you won't. I mean, Muslims would have to have absolutely no sense of humor not to even laugh at something that was that poorly produced, that crude, that ridiculous. I mean, it is, and maybe they don't, some of these organizations, but that wasn't even known by them. That wasn't something that they were upset about. It was a ludicrous narrative from the very beginning.
And the key point is that if you take a look at the Benghazi attack, you've got the State Department watching it. Remember, we had drones. We had a drone over Benghazi while the attack was going on. We were able to see what was happening in Washington. And you had attackers showing up with rocket-propelled grenades and AK-47s. And these were, very heavily armed terrorists.
Well, let me ask you this, Dr. Corsi, because we've had people like Dr. Pachinik on and others who have flat out said that they believe that this was internecine fighting between different factions within our government, different factions within the CIA, some of them who wanted to arm Al-Qaeda and ISIS, others who wanted to see that stopped. Depending on which side these guys are on, do you think that there was something like that going on with this?
Well, I mean, I've been reporting on the Citizens Committee on Benghazi, which is a group of really top former military commanders and intelligence officers and media experts. And you've got people like Admiral Lyons on the group, General Vallely on the group. These are very distinguished military commanders with long careers. And the basic scenario that I reported on again, WND, that Admiral Lyons believes is that this was a attempt to capture. It was a kidnapping gone terribly wrong to get. Because we had already supported Al-Qaeda. Mm-hmm. We were, through Hillary Clinton, the State Department, even before Gaddafi was toppled in 2011, we'd been getting guns in through Benghazi from Turkey and distributing them into these same Al-Qaeda affiliated militias like the Ansar al-Sharia, who was doing the attack on the Benghazi compound. Now, you've got to ask, why would Ansar al-Sharia suddenly attack the compound when, Chris Stevens is one of their best friends? He's getting them weapons. Mm-hmm. Well, I think the argument is that the Obama administration, going back to when Morsi first took office in 2011 in Egypt, had been pressuring Obama to release the blind sheik, who is the guy we have in prison that was trying to mastermind the 1993 bombing of the World Trade Center. He was prosecuted and is now on a lifetime sentence in a U.S. prison. And Morsi in Egypt, Muslim Brotherhood, won him back, and Obama was trying to release him. All the efforts were failing, and there was no consensus in America that we ought to release a terrorist of this magnitude. So Obama was being opposed in his efforts, and they were all published in the newspaper at the time. Very, very widely known that Obama was trying to release the blind sheik. Then this attack occurs, and of course, the idea of trying to get a kidnapping, you've got to ask, why did we not accede to the request being made by Christopher Stevens to give him greater security? Why was U.S. forces all across the world told not to mobilize and go to the aid in Benghazi when we had forces in the region? It sounds like we were leaving Chris Stevens in this compound, this diplomatic.
Sounded like they wanted to get rid of him, didn't it?
Well, or that they were making him vulnerable. He was being put out there as a attractive target that could be snatched. And if you read the 13 Hours, and one of the things I think in the account from the global resources guys who went from the annex, disobeyed orders, got in 2 vehicles and went over to the diplomatic compound, was that, they say that this was a attack that had gone wrong. It was based